Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to a video of me talking about my ADHD and autism. Now this is a fairly new feature on this channel and I don't want it to become the main focus by any stretch. I enjoy talking about EVE Online and other space games, that's what I want to be talking about, but it is really nice and quite soothing to be able to reach out and talk to you about things like this as bonus content on the weekends or short form content, and a lot of you have really resonated with that, and so thank you for your support. Now, throughout this week, since putting up the video talking about how I came to terms with being autistic and having ADHD, I've put out a couple of videos talking about some of the issues that I experience and what life is like on a day-to-day basis. So today, I wanted to look at that from the other side and talk about those issues and how I've learnt to deal with them. If you are autistic or have ADHD, or you think you might, maybe some of these little tips and tricks might help you out. If you resonate with any of this, if you feel that any of this relates to you and you want to talk to me, drop me a comment down below. Hit me up on Discord or on any of my social media platforms. Heck, I've even got an email address attached to this YouTube channel that you can contact me at as well if you want to talk about these things. You're more than welcome to reach out. Don't feel bad for DMing me. That's what those systems are there for. Now, I put out a little short earlier this week talking about some of the difficulties that I have in day-to-day life, and I want to talk now about how I deal with those. The first of these, I joked about it being me saying I want to update my Patreon and I want to start streaming on YouTube, but I just can't bring myself to get started with it. Now, this is quite a common theme for the ADHD brain, and I know a lot of ADHDers who really do relate to this. It's one of the big ones. This is an executive order dysfunction in the inability to initiate a task. Now, you see, most human beings look at a task, they know it needs doing, and so they just get it done. Their brain gives them a little release of dopamine for starting the task, it gives them dopamine as they progress through the task, and then a dopamine hit as they end the task. The ADHD brain does not do this. Now, this manifests itself in jokey ways, like me struggling to get my Patreon sorted or wanting to stream and just not being able to, but it's also in more day-to-day tasks. If I were to spin this camera around my room right now, you would see a pile of clothes on my bed that is a shameful height. It is shamefully high. Now, am I being lazy? Well, if you ask my mother, yes, I live with my parents. I moved back from Zimbabwe last year. I'm still working on getting a house sorted. If you ask my mother, yes, I'm just lazy. If you ask an ADHDer, no. I know well that I want to get that pile of clothes off my bed and into the drawers. I don't like that disorder being there. I don't like this pile of stuff just glaring at me from the corner of my eye. It's actually quite distracting, and a messy room gets into my head and leaves my thoughts messy. I want to put this stuff away. I like organizing things. I like having a place for everything and everything in its place. That goes with my autism as well. I like to arrange things. My DVDs, board games, things like that are always in neat stacks, divided by things like genre or alphabetically, sometimes box size, color, that kind of thing. But that pile of clothes, I know I need to get it done. I want to get it done. I just can't get it done. And if you're not an ADHDer, that might sound like a really weird sentence. You know you want to do it, you know you can do it, so why don't you just do it? You tell me. You tell me why my brain fights me on this. I know that I need to hoover my car. I love my new car and I want it to be shiny and nice to sit in. Bringing myself to actually go downstairs, get the hoover out, and take it over to the car and do it. There are so many little steps. Cooking is another one. When I'm actually cooking, I really enjoy it. I think it's great fun, but getting myself to actually start doing that task can be really difficult. And this is something I've struggled with my entire life. When I was living with Carrie in Zimbabwe, when I was living on my own in London, doesn't matter. Just cooking for myself felt like an uphill struggle and battle every single time. Even though it's really simple, I could just follow a recipe, do the steps, it's a necessity for life, and I would really enjoy the food at the other end. The actual steps of going through that, not easy. And it looks like laziness from the outside. I fully understand. And I appreciate that people will look at that and go, no, Benzie, you're just being lazy. I'm really not. It's a task I want to get done. I mean, we're talking about like streaming and things like that. Those are fun things, right? So why can't I initiate that task? Well, that is ADHD. That is the executive order dysfunction in regards to task initiation. How do I deal with this? Well, I'm still really learning to. First of all is accepting help. If my mum sits there and says, look, I'll give you a hand with it, my initial response is, no, I'm fine, I'm an adult, I can deal with this. But deep down, I know that getting that task started is the hardest part. It's kind of like, whereas everyone else can just walk through the front door to get to the job, and they thoroughly enjoy it while they're in there, and then they walk out the front door back home after. For me, it's like I have to jump over the side fence. It's a real effort for me to get into that same situation. But when I'm there, the experience is great, and I'll walk out the front door afterwards feeling fantastic. But next time I need to do it again, I've got to get over that fence. It's not fun. This is the one I've probably struggled with the most because there's no easy way of doing this, especially if I'm on my own, knowing that I need to do something, but just struggling to do it. Often the best thing I can do is just wait until it hits critical mass. When I know that the deadline is looming and something needs to be done, then I can blitz through things at a rate of knots. This is why I say it's not laziness. You get that task that you just put off and put off and put off because your brain will not let you engage with it. But the second that you can't put it off anymore, suddenly it's done in record time. The second thing I mentioned in that video is going off on random topics. And this again is part of the ADHD experience. It also kind of twins with my autism in my special interests. When I'm making a video for EVE Online, I'm trying to cover a particular topic. Here's how I'm having fun. Here's how you can too. But I'm obsessed with EVE Online. I love so much about it, right? That means it's not just that topic I want to talk about. There's a whole load of other things that I want to talk about as well that I want to share with you all. And this will just burst forth whilst I'm recording a video. Now, ADHDers often have a difficulty with impulse control as well. Now, sometimes this can manifest in things like shopping and making bad decisions when it comes to spending money. It can also be things like taking higher risks than other people. That definitely happens in EVE Online for sure. It's just one of those things that when it comes down to it, I am so excited to be able to talk to you about something that I can't focus on just that one little bit. Something else pops into my head, and it is a little bit, to use the term, oh, squirrel, I want to talk about that as well. And so my brain now latches onto that thing, and I need to talk about that and go off on that one, but then it'll go, oh, wait, you were talking about this thing. This is where the idea of an ADHD being a scatterbrain can come from. And that's not entirely fair. It's not that our thoughts are all over the place. It's that our thoughts are working at 1,000,000 miles an hour. We are like an engine that just will not stop. We don't have that ability to pause and evaluate and look at things. We just want to keep going. You've got over that initial hurdle. Task has been initiated. Go, 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 go. And when I'm working and there's something I can just focus on, that means I'll get that done at breakneck speed. When it's something that has a little bit of wiggle room and the possibility to tangent, it's a real struggle not to run down those tangents. How do I deal with this? Honestly, I don't. I just accept that that is part of my brain, and rather than try and fight that instinct, I just have to accept that that's who I am. And you know what? There are going to be times when I just go off on a tangent. And sometimes when I'm editing the video after, I will look at that and go, that's not really related, and I'll just cut it out. It's that simple. But in other situations, I will go through the editing process on a video and go, actually, that's a really interesting point to leave in. There's no point me clipping that out. I'll leave it in there because actually it does answer some questions that I'm sure I'll get in the comment section otherwise. This is why my videos are a little bit longer than usual. I've always gone with the mentality that I would rather give you all the information in one video. I'd rather do a 20-minute video that answers every question you could have than do a 10-minute video that says, oh, if you want to know more about this, go watch that one. If you want to know more about this, go watch that one. If you want to know more about this, go watch that one. That would actually be better for my engagement, right? Because it means a new person coming onto my channel looking to learn something about a particular ship, for example, when I say, oh yeah, go watch this video, and this video, they're now watching 4 of my videos. That's 4 times the engagement, 4 times the views. It's also shorter content, which is easier for me to record, less time to edit. Like the idea and line is that, oh, YouTube rewards you for having videos that are at least 8 minutes long so you can get the mid-roll ads and stuff like that. But ideally then, I would want videos to be 9, 10 minutes long because that's less effort for me to record and edit. There's just less footage to work with. And I can get my point across and I can push people into more videos. I think that's unfair on the people watching my videos. I'd rather assume that you've never watched one of my videos before and thus have all the information readily available than send you off on one of these big tangents and all these different videos all over the place and waste your time looking for information. That's just not how my brain works. I realize now as I'm recording this, I've just gone off on a big tangent because that's how my brain works. This is the kind of thing that I do, and you won't always see it in a video, but it's often there. It's how I'm going to make it. And if that gels with you, awesome. If it doesn't gel with you, then forgive me, my content may not be for you. That's fine. I'm not here to make content that impresses everyone. I'm here to make the content that I enjoy making, and I consider myself really fortunate to have a community that supports that and engages with me on that. So that's really cool, and it means I don't have to moderate that particular side of me. I can just let it happen, and that is really, really freeing. The third thing I mentioned in that video is how, when recording a video, I will actually dress up. That's actually a little bit kind of embarrassing to admit that, yeah, when I make an EVE Online video, I will wear my EVE Online hat and usually my EVE Online hoodie and an EVE Online t-shirt, and I will make coffee in my Jita 44 mug, and I will sit there at my computer that has an EVE Online wallpaper and make an EVE Online video. This really helps me, I find, because it allows me to focus completely on the task. Everything about my person is directed towards that one task. And I swear, if I had a set of clothes that I could wear that were themed around tidying my room, I'd probably get that done more frequently as well. It's part of the autistic special interests, that idea that we have a particular topic that we are passionate about and we just want to focus in on. And it also works well with my ADHD inattentiveness because it gives me lots of prompts visually and just touch based around me. That hoodie has a particular feel and a smell to it. Those shirts have a particular feel. And if I look down, I see EVE Online, and if I sort of rub my head, I feel the EVE Online thing there. One of the questions I've had a fair bit this week, which I really like, it was an interesting question, in regards to fidgeting and me using this cube. How long has that been a part of my life? Has that happened before cell phones were a thing? I get that the subtle implication there is that, are you ADHD? Or is it just that you've had your attention span shortened by social media? And no, that's been me my entire life. As a kid, I used to bounce my knee all the time. I would sit there and just click my pen incessantly, and if that was taken off me, I'd drum my fingers, or I would play with pencil erasers. Or, you remember back in the 90s, there used to be those, they looked like a pen with lots of different crayons down them, and you could take them out the top, push it in the bottom to change the colour. Yeah, I used to wear through those at a rate of knots because I would absent-mindedly, whilst listening to the teacher, just be taking out the top, putting it in the bottom, taking out the top, putting it in the bottom, and just doing that over and over again really helped me to focus. If I take a phone call, I was going to reach for my phone and actually do a demonstration, but I'm recording on it, so I can't do that. But if I take a phone call, because you need the demonstration, right? You need the visual. Tangents, focus, focus. If I'm taking a phone call, I can't just sit at my computer and just talk to someone. I can't sit on a sofa and talk to someone. I have to get up and walk around. I lose focus on the conversation if I'm just sitting there talking to someone on the phone. I'll stand up, I'll walk around, I will fidget with things, I will play with things, and that really helps me to focus. Now, those are all very visual and noticeable. If I'm sitting in a coffee shop, for example, and someone phones me, the need to stand up and walk around becomes a little bit awkward because now I'm pacing up and down a coffee shop trying to have a phone call with someone, and I just look like I don't know what I look like, but it's not good. This is actually a new addition to my roster. This was ordered from Amazon literally a week ago because I thought it might be an interesting thing to try, and it just works. I find that when I'm sitting here playing with this, I'm more focused on whatever I'm talking about or what I'm doing. I'm not bouncing my knee. I even took a phone call a couple of days ago, and I sat in my seat the entire length of that phone call whilst just playing with this in one hand. That's magical to me, and I can't believe it's worked this well. I'm not going to suggest a fidget cube is exactly your cure for this. Some people prefer these, I think they're called click tracks or something like that, where it's like a load of little plastic pieces that are together and they can be bent up to 90 degrees and you can make them into different shapes. Other people have those little poppers or fidget spinners. There are all kinds of different stimulations that you can get from these things. This is what I found works for me. One of the big issues I have that is, again, more an ADHD thing than an autistic thing. I think autism, I've spent my life masking it, so I kind of know how to deal with that. Autism is more behavioral based for me. I can't make eye contact with people. I have a propensity to run off on a particular interesting topic and just over analyze and talk about things. There are other symptoms, but the ADHD side is the more dysfunctional side, for want of a better term. I don't mean that to be insulting, it's just my experiences of it personally. But one of the other ones that I really have with ADHD is, again, this concept of burnout. I mentioned this in my Loki video the other day, that sometimes I just wake up in the morning and I don't feel like making a video. I look at my computer and I'm just like, really don't want to do this. That's stressing me out and I feel awful. And if I'm ill or heck, just having a bad day, I'll beat myself up because I feel really unproductive. And I'm looking at that pile of clothes on my bed and I'm looking at the fact that I'm not making a video and I'm looking at the fact that I'm not doing this and not doing that. And it really stresses me out and I feel terrible about it. I feel unproductive. I feel lazy. This is one of the things about ADHD is I think that a lot of folks want to call us lazy and want to mock us. No one beats us up more than ourselves. We look at society and see how other people are functioning, and for a long time we're sitting there going, why aren't I like that? Why can't I do that? And that's why this ADHD sort of realization to me has been so powerful. So on those days now, I accept that I have down days, that there are going to be days when I'm just burnt out and I cannot operate. My brain is not going to let me focus on big tasks. It's not going to let me do any of these things. So I'll get up, I'll go for a walk into town, I'll sit on the beach for a bit, I'll play with some pebbles and watch the seagulls or just whatever, and accept that that is a nothing day, that there are going to be days like that. And that's okay, because then I'll sit down on a day and I'll have 12 ideas for a video and I'll record 8 of them. I'll edit 4 of those and have them fully uploaded and ready to go. I will bash out a series of videos in quick succession. When I was making my heavy assault cruiser videos, I was making 5 of those a day, spending a little bit of time testing them, like testing for a couple of days with multiple different ships. And then I would just sit down and record, and edit, and have 5 of those in the pipeline due to launch over the next couple of days. And what that allowed me to do is then to kind of go, all right, okay, well, today I can actually have a bit of a bum day because I don't need to do some work. I've done so much work in a short period of time that I can step off the gas a little bit. My brain works in sprints, not in marathons. And now that I've started to understand that and started to lean into it, I'm feeling better about myself and I'm being more productive. I'm feeling that on my down days, I'm actually recharging faster, so I'm having fewer down days, right? Less time between sprints because I'm actually accepting that, yeah, today's going to be a down day. Therefore, I'm just going to relax and unwind, accept that, and get on with my work when I'm on a good day. And it works. I can work with my brain rather than fighting against it. But I want to round this video off now because otherwise we're going to be sitting here rambling for ages while I go off on various different tangents and talk about all the things that pop into my head. This is who I am. And if you're resonating with this again, please reach out, talk to me, drop a comment down below. If you're interested in learning more about ADHD and autism and how I'm experiencing it, then subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. Feel free to reach out to me all over the place and consider supporting me on Patreon or PayPal. Would mean the world to me. Be kind to yourself is what I would say in this one. Try and be kind, try and be compassionate. If you don't understand a situation, that's fine. You don't have to relate to what I'm saying. You don't have to resonate with any of this. If none of it makes sense to you, that's fine. But be kind. Don't tell me I'm lazy, because I've spent my entire life doing that and it got me nowhere. Telling myself that I was lazy didn't suddenly make me better. On the other hand, telling myself that I have ADHD, you're not lazy, it's just how you operate, has actually helped. Whereas 35 years or however long of beating myself up on this did nothing. Try and be kind and compassionate to each other. The world might be a little bit of a better place for it. Oh, and yet, one final thing. I know this hoodie is way, way too big for me. This is like a triple XL and I'm like a medium. But I love the fox on it, and it's so comfy and cozy that for content like this, it just feels the right choice, you know? I'm sitting here trying to be personal, and this is nice and represents me and how I'm feeling, so it's comfy. It means I can sit there and be comfy. It's all about getting into that mindset.